It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Columbia. This is Houston, AOS over.
All right, welcome everyone to the TKW Podcast. I'm Anthony Corbo. Joining me, as they do every single week, are my co-hosts, Kyle Maggio.
What's going on, buddy? Just trying to stay mellow over here.
Oh.
It's not very often we get to use topical mellow references anymore. So
no, it's not. It's a great one. It's a great day at Kyle Maggio on Twitter. Also joining us is Bryan Gibberman. What's going on, man?
I have not been very mellow on Twitter recently.
You have not been. You have been a been a very angry man.
That's at Bryan Gibberman on Twitter. He's been the last week and a half, man. You have just
he's been unleashed, uncaged, if you will.
It's a legendary tear.
No, it's not. It's terrible.
Reminds me of a shark who hasn't fed in a few days.
Yeah, that's man. I feel like you've been repressing something, and now it's taken on another life.
Dude,
here.
I spend a lot of time watching the Knicks, and they haven't won a game in a really long time. And I know people want them to lose, but it's just super frustrating.
It's been pretty.
Yeah. On that note, real quick before we get into all the fun stuff, because there's a bunch. Small thing that I feel like we don't get to talk about enough because it's just not coming soon enough yet. I miss Kristaps Porzingis. He was playing 2K earlier today, and if he was healthy, this was the 2019-2020 season in my GM mode, and we were just going nuts. We're just blocking 6 and 7 shots a game, and alley-oop dunking on people, and pulling up from 40 feet for 3, and God, I miss that guy. That's all I got. It was just a thought.
You can follow Kristaps Porzingis at KPorzi. I think that's how it's pronounced.
That's
right?
how I enunciate it in my head.
I'm sure everyone listening to us is not going to be following Kristaps Porzingis on Twitter.
Well, it's just my way of segueing into saying you can follow me at Corbo Anthony on Twitter. Also, make sure you're following the Knicks wall. Make sure you follow TKW Podcast. We should probably start using that account a little bit more, but, subscribe to our YouTube channels. Subscribe to our Twitch. Just look up the Knicks wall. You'll find us. Head to the knickswall.com. Keep in the know. We got previews. We got recaps. We got features. We got people dissecting these things you see on the court every day, and you're not going to find better covers than what we got. So, on that note, where do we want to start today, guys? You guys want to talk a little bit about the Enes Kanter stuff that's going on?
Apologies for ruining your excellent transition with a joke. That was mean.
Oh, it was buried in my headphones, so I'm going to graze right past it, and you can do whatever you want when you edit this thing.
Oh, no, we're leaving it in there, but...
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine.
But
Enes Kanter, Gibberman. No, you're fine. You're fine. It's perfect. You're a wonderful co-host of mine. Now, Enes Kanter is no longer in the rotation. He is the only player tonight against the Heat who got a DNP. Like, literally they emptied the bench but Kanter. There were probably the most vociferous cheers I've heard of this season of people rooting for Enes Kanter to come into the game.
Here and in Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn as well. It's been pretty relentless. You could hear it like over the broadcast at a lot of points too. Something's got to happen with Kanter now. Kyle and I were doing the 2KW show earlier today, and we were talking about just what to do with Enes Kanter, and Kyle is pretty much an advocate for you got to get him out of here right away. And I kind of said that there are certain deadlines that the Knicks can do whatever they want to do up until then. But just looking at how some fans have reacted so far, it's like, I think you're right, where they got to try to find a resolution for this kind of thing ASAP, because it's not good for the team chemistry.
They could. The thing is, I don't think anybody's super wrong here. I've said it the last couple of weeks that while I don't agree with the antics that Kanter has continually put forth here, I understand that he is a 26-year-old, in the right role, impactful basketball player, and he was due for a payday. And I don't know what numbers he thought he was going to put up this year. I'm not going to sit here and assume it was going to be like some sort of egotistical monster season, but I assumed he thought he'd have a normal role, as did we. And, go and part ways at the end of the season amicably and get a payday elsewhere. But they went hard into developmental mode, as they should have. And, he had opted in, and it's nobody's fault. I get why he's frustrated and wants to play. And I also understand why management is taking their time, too. Like, I don't think that they should be pressured by Kanter wanting out and wanting to play, although, again, he's entitled to feel that way. But, my thing that I said in the 2KW show was, when it starts to get out in public like this and you can't really take care of it in-house as much as you'd like, it's best to find a resolution quickly. And I think that goes in hand with us wanting the culture to be better and changing and attractive to free agents, as you want to see that the team's trying to be accommodating to players, doing right by them when they can. So I like that they're trying to get some. I think that's what they're waiting for, is they're just trying to trade him, and if they can, I think they're going to buy him out. So I don't think they're on nobody's watch here. They're nobody's time here but their own. But I think that's why they're being patient. I get why he's frustrated, but it's just a shitty situation for both parties here.
It has to end. The most fascinating part about all this that I see is how the media is covering it. And the amount of, one, benching Kanter isn't tanking. We have mountains of evidence the Knicks are better when Enes Kanter doesn't play. Secondly, it's the way it's getting framed. Like, the Knicks got out-rebounded in the next game, and they were hurt on the defensive glass. Do you know what you have to be doing to be able for the other team to get an offensive rebound? The other team has to miss a shot. So
correct.
They were actually getting stops on defense, and all of the defensive improvement is basically, not all of it, Moutier and Kanter being out is really helping the defense, because you're getting, Burke is basically an even, but you're getting Burke with Mitchell Robinson playing behind him instead of Moutier playing with three trash bags and Noah Vonleh. So Burke's not being as harmful as Moutier was because of the different lineups they're playing in. And there's this groundswell of support for Enes Kanter. Like, Howard Beck today said that, and criticized the Knicks for not playing their best defensive rebounder and inside scorer. Brian Mahoney made a joke about don't take the over because there's not going to be able to be any scoring. And he ended up being right. But when the Knicks were getting stops in this game and the offense was moving and getting out in transition, they actually did all right. And then then the local beat guys, Popper, Bondy, Berman, were all spinning this in a way, not that they're doing Kanter wrong, but that it's not good for the team that he's sitting. And I think this is the smartest thing David Fizdale has done since the season has started. And it's the most encouraged I've been seeing the type of lineups and how they're trending a little bit more towards modern basketball with all the wing guards. This is as positive I've felt about the team all year with what they're doing right now.
Yeah, and two things, because the first thing about the little media parade with Kanter here is, to their credit, at least for the Brooklyn game, he absolutely could have played. Like, the point that they brought up, he has absolutely crushed the Nets in the three prior games before this. I think he was averaging something like 22.5 points and 14 rebounds, and they weren't empty points. He was very effective in those games for the most part. So Brooklyn, I understood completely. Even if you hate Kanter, I don't care. It's true. They could have used him, even if it was for 10 or 15 minutes. They could have used him in the Brooklyn game, especially when things were getting out of hand and it was just Burke basically playing 1-on-5 on the offensive end. But, tonight, I don't understand it, because the game that they played in Miami. And again, it was just one matchup. But Kanter got just abused by Hassan Whiteside and Bam. So I don't like it. It's one thing if he's just missing shots, but like he couldn't get rebounds, and he's a very, very good rebounder. Like that is objectively the thing that he's like that's the thing he's best at for sure. Like whether you like him or not, and he was getting just bullied and pushed in Miami, and so tonight I don't understand it because to me this was just a terrible matchup for him, just at the center position. Those guys owned him. So the Brooklyn game I understand, but here I did not. And I think the second thing, what was it? You said something about the system, basically, like him starting to develop a modernized system with the rotation he's basically putting out. Like we complained about that, like what, 2 weeks ago? Like that was what was disappointing with Fizdale, is there's the lack of an identity. And it's like now we're kind of starting to see that, and I like that, and I'm enjoying that. That's all we really wanted, and we knew there was going to be experimenting, and I think that just went longer than we would have liked. But it seems like they've started to make up their mind about guys a little bit more now. So, and I think, Brian, you noted even earlier that about Fizdale going to pull Trey Burke out for Frank a little bit quicker.
No, he waited too long.
He waited too long.
Yeah, he did the thing when Burke was making shots, so he left Frank on the bench, and then Burke missed one shot, and then he missed another, and right when he missed the shot, I wish I was sitting near someone, so I would have went to them. He's about to put Frank in the game, and less than 3 seconds later, Frank came off the bench. Fizdale it's very easy to figure out when he's going to put guys in and out, I feel like.
And one thing real quick on the Kanter point on whether or not they could have used him tonight, like it was pretty clear that they didn't need him. Like, they obviously got everyone else in the game, and that's fine. But at the very end, like, Mitch had 7 rebounds tonight. He's been able to become he looked somewhat more capable as a rebounder out there. 4 of them were offensive, and he only had 3 defensive rebounds, so he still has a lot of work to do in getting a position, and in that sense.
Unbelievable. He only gets offensive rebounds. It's fascinating.
Right, but like obviously that's a hinge in this game. That's something he's going to have to work on to be an effective center. But as for tonight, he still finished with 7 rebounds. Like that's okay for for him coming back for the last couple of games. But Noah Vonleh also had 9 rebounds. Like the Knicks definitely got out rebounded tonight. What was it, 39-46? But it just the way that the game was going, it didn't call for Kanter to be in there. Like they were controlling what was going on at the center position. Whiteside finished with only 13 points. He was he had his issues out there. He had foul trouble. It was a fairly capable game. Bam Adebayo didn't really have he went 3 for 7. So I didn't see the need for Kanter tonight.
And
I guess
anything the Heat centers are getting isn't really like Mitch is making a wrong read here and there and getting himself out of position. But a lot of it is how the Knicks' defensive scheme is dictating the ball end up in the center's hand, and them either get a clean shot at the rim, a kick out for an open 3, or a little dump off to another player. Because of how Fizdale's having the Knicks basically do the old big 3 Heat pick and roll scheme where you either trap the ball handler or you show and you're trying to force a turnover, take away the passing lane, you're making the ball handler give up the ball. So that's leading to the bigs having the ball in their hands a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be let's kind of look at the other side of the thing with Kanter. It's where a lot of it has come down to what the discussion around him has been like. So there was one particular tweet that came out today from a certain Howard Beck talking about how the Knicks didn't play their best rebounding center tonight or something. Did anyone have that tweet on hand right now?
Yeah, I think I read it the whole thing earlier, but hold on one second. For some reason it's not available when I
Did you get blocked?
No, it's not showing up for anyone when you type it in.
I see it.
You got it?
The one that says, and they refuse to play their best rebounder and inside scorer.
Yes.
Right. So he was replying to Brian Mahoney, say that Clyde asking how people can think Knicks are tanking. They have 3 guys drafted after the first round on the floor in crunch time. It's certainly not hard to wonder. And then Beck responded, and they refuse to play their best rebounder and inside scorer. So I kind of, like, obviously everyone has their opinion to how the Knicks season is going, but I kind of want to, like, I'm just left wondering where, I guess, the general fan base is standing on what the Knicks should be doing right now. It seems like there's a pretty big divide amongst a lot of fans who think that the Knicks should be trying to get as many wins as they can, or the other contingency of fans who think that the Knicks should be trying to find where they can improve their team and what they should be building towards moving forward. I feel like the idea of development can have 2 different meanings to 2 different kinds of fan bases. And I think that can be an issue when sometimes you have media members who can kind of play on that and pander to one side or the other. So, do you guys agree with me that you think there's kind of a divide in how the fans are thinking about this team right now?
Yes, but it's not in like a, I don't know. It's not always in like a wins and loss kinds of way. You know, like the way I see it is, I'd like for them to win a little bit more, because to me that is important to building a winning culture. Not to go out and win like 30 games this year, but you know, a little bit more than they're winning now. I'd like to see them play well and close out games and learn how to do that. I don't want to just sit here and see them get their brains beat out every night either. That's not fun. And we can root for individual stats all we want, but we want to see them play good team ball together. There's a lot of rookies we want to do well, so I'd like to see them all play well together and win some games. And I understand that a lot of fans just want to lose and teach their own, but I can't right now with that. So the way it's kind of getting painted right now is the lack of wins is, I guess, wasn't planned. Is this what we're doing, the media spin thing, where it wasn't? They're basically saying that the Knicks they didn't expect this. Like nobody saw this coming, even though everybody saw this coming.
Everybody saw this coming. Like there's no denying that nobody thought the Knicks were going to win 35, 40 games this season.
Well, some people actually did. There were people in our mentions. They were criminally insane. One guy told me that despite a 15-win roster, they could win 35 because it's the Fizdale effect. So just batshit crazy people. But continue.
But what would give people that impression? I'm genuinely curious because I wanted to figure out more of the mindset.
Because we overvalue our own prospects perpetually.
But I get Kevin Knox, right? But he didn't I get being excited about him. I get looking at him as a prospect moving forward. But we know that Kristaps Porzingis was going to be out. This is known. This is a known quantity. Are these the same people who are thinking that Kristaps will be back by Christmas? Even at that point, how many wins do you get at that? And then you're looking at what else? Enes Kanter, sure, is probably the most talented player on the roster right now as far as where he is in his career, but it's not talent that builds towards anything productive as far as getting wins for this team. So either way, if you play him or not, I don't see how you think that's helping your team win. And the rest of the guys need time to figure out how they're going to, what kind of players they're going to turn into and how effective they can be out there. I don't know. I have a hard time understanding how, we can look at this roster and say, yeah, they're going to win 40 games this year.
So Stefan Bondy from the New York Daily News, kind of what we're talking about here is he tweeted, the idea that the Knicks planned to be this bad from the beginning is totally disingenuous. It devolved into this because everything went wrong. I'm actually on the other side. I don't think what Bondy said is wrong. I think the very important word in there is there's this bad. And I thought the Knicks might have been incapable of winning 28 to 32 or 25, 27, something.
Fun bad.
What was that?
Fun bad is what I like to call it.
Yeah, and with some, but this is worst team in the league bad. I do not think the Knicks wanted to be worst team in the league bad. I think they just wanted to be normal bad. So going after him about that, I do think is a little bit unfair.
Yeah, I thought that's kind of why they kept going after the reclamation projects. Because to me, I thought you're going low risk, high reward, first of all, on all those guys, which I thought that was just from a talent evaluation perspective. I thought that was fine. And I thought they figured they'll hit on somebody or a couple of them to some degree. And that with the kids and Timmy hopefully taking a step up, they would be kind of like fun bad, like that 28 to 32 win kind of range where, they're scrappy. They're going to be in a lot of games. They're still going to lose a bunch, but that kind of team. And early on, it looked like it might be that. But I think that maybe they miscalculated. Like, I think they thought Hezonja was probably going to be more of a player than he has been. Like some of those guys who are still young but are trending towards that veteran status, I thought they probably thought some of those guys might be better. Maybe Moutier's a little further along despite that nice December he had. So I agree with you. I think they definitely thought they were going to be bad. I just didn't think they thought, like you said, it was going to be this bad. And reading is hard for a lot of folks, and I know a lot of people want to get fired up with the media. It's never that serious. I've been on this Knicks Twitter thing since the beginning. I made my Twitter account in 2009, and I silently followed along and watched this feud begin on Twitter to what it's got to today. And everybody's got to relax. When the Knicks consistently show, and I'm not saying that the media is absolved of everything. I understand that they do some poking and prodding. Like Bondy, for example, will do the Nets and Knicks update counter on the wins for the season, and there's no point in that because they're at two different spots in their rebuild, and the Knicks kind of got forced into this immediate rebuild with KP going down, whereas the Nets had a couple of years to kind of scrap and claw their way back. It's not, so I get that kind of stuff, but mostly I think there's a lot of pushback when anything negative comes from the media, even if it's warranted, and I think we just got to kind of really ask ourselves if is this fair? Is this objective? Like, really reading that Bondy tweet, like you said, it says this bad. That should mean something, It shouldn't just be what it gets conflated to, and I think that's when things get a little bit out of hand. But yeah, I don't know. I just think, like you said, not league worst bad.
So before we move ahead here, I do want to ask you guys just to jump back a second. What do we think about we didn't get a good Kanter reaction from this game, but we had. I just want to touch on the couple of the Mario Hezonja moment with him the other day, where he had to come over to him in the huddle and tell him to get the fuck up and cheer. And then we also had Mitchell Robinson pinching him when it appeared that Kanter was daydreaming, and Kanter looking genuinely pissed off afterwards. Did you guys have a particular reaction when either of those two things happened?
Yeah, he just needs to not be on the team anymore. So I think it's just that simple.
It made me appreciate Mario Hezonja a little bit more, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that gave me that breathed a little life for him. Gave him a little.
I think that's the problem is, we often have to separate like the guy from the player, and I think Kanter's genuinely a good dude. I understand his antics are a little bit selfish, but I think he's a good dude. But it's just not the right fit, And like the same thing for Mario. He actually had a really nice game tonight. I wanted to touch on soon, but. He's just not been good this season, save for like 5 games. That Lakers game tonight. I think there was a Bucks game the first week of the season. He's had a couple of moments, but he's mostly been bad. But the person that Mario is, good dude, cool dude. It's just tough to separate. It's like when you want to root for guys and they aren't that good. It stinks.
All
right. Well, sorry.
Just
Brian,
before we leave Kanter, and this is a question to both of you guys. Why do we think he's getting he's had situations in other places and it blew up a little bit, but maybe we're just closer to it. But why it feels like he's getting treated like a superstar player when he's a 7th, 8th man, and this stuff shouldn't be covered in depthly as it is.
It reminds me a little bit of what I heard about how he exited Utah. You know, like he really seemed to like force his way out of there, and it just feels like he has a way of like talking to the media and like getting support going for him, and like especially like not only just the media but like like how he interacts with fans and things like that. I think he's really good at drawing support for himself, and that kind of, you know, in a way builds him up to be a little bit more valuable in some people's head than he really is, you know, on the court or in the eyes of certain teams or as far as prospects are concerned, or assets. But yeah, he's definitely got a certain sensibility about himself.
That was a very prudent point. That was good.
Kyle, yeah, anything on that?
No, that's actually pretty well said. I just think he's going to end up being a bench scorer again. I think maybe to your point about him trying to up his value a little bit, I think probably playing next to KP last year as a starter and them playing mostly pretty well together, I think that probably got it in his head that he's a starter and he could probably get starter money. And I think ultimately he just ends up kind of back in an OKC role. You know, I think that's just where he's going to be successful. I think you can't leave him out that long. So I'm interested to see what happens with him.
All right, so we are going to talk to our friend Xavier in a moment about a certain message that he received on Twitter. But before that, it's been a bit of an up-and-down season for Tim Hardaway Jr., as evidenced in the last couple of games in January. We're all kind of sitting here wondering if he still lives up to his contract, if he outperforms it, or if he's going to underperform. Harrison Liao wrote about that at theknickswall.com. You guys can go check that out. Ty Jordan also has a column on Alonzo Trier and Mitchell Robinson getting back in the lineup. He talked to us a little bit about that. But keep an eye out on that, and you'll see it tweeted at the Knicks Wall as well. So we are here with Xavier at This Isn't Xav on Twitter. Okay, so let's kind of go back a little bit to last week. There was a game. This is last Wednesday, January 23rd. The New York Knicks played it against the Houston Rockets. It was a game where James Harden scored 61 points. It's also a game where Alonzo Trier scored 31 points, and there was a blown possession at the end and everything. The Knicks put out a tweet that says, "Tough one down the stretch." And this is a tweet that you, Xavier, responded to, and you said those last two defensive possessions and that Vonleh turnover was elite tanking. Salute. Do you want to kind of take us through what happened after you sent that tweet from there?
All right, so I mean, I'm a Knicks and a Jets fan, and I have been pretty much my whole life. So all I have these last 4 or 5 years basically are tanking jokes. Yeah. So I decide.
It's all we have for content these last couple of years that we've been running the podcast. So
I mean, I just put that on there. Obviously, I know these guys, they're playing as hard as they can, which has actually been like decent to watch, especially like more recently. So I know they're obviously not trying to lose games. But I put there as a joke. I didn't realize until after the fact that all those guys were tagged in the tweet, which is I think how Trier saw it. So I just like threw that comment out.
Yeah, that went to Trier, that went to Hardaway, and then went to Moody.
Yeah, I did not realize that until after the fact. But I just put that tweet on there, started to be funny, and then someone responded to it. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said something about Trier. I was like thankful, like Trier like messed up or something like that. So then I responded again that like him ducking under that screen was like great. And then I think that was the one that really set Trier off, because that's when he like I didn't see it initially because I don't have like my DMs on for everyone, so it was like in the request. But
right.
He responded to me, and like he responded and had like a screenshot of Trier DMing him. Then I noticed I had like a DM, and then I noticed it was from Trier. So it's like 11:45 on Wednesday night.
So you see this, and it's like 11:40 on it. You see this, and you see like, do you have to like take a second to like read it over again, like you see like the check mark next to his name and everything like that, are you just like, are you like sure that it's really him, or do you think it's like a fake account at first?
At first, I thought I saw his name in it, but I thought like maybe it's like a fan account or something like that. And then I see the check mark. Then I see like the handle, and I'm like, oh, this is definitely him. So I'm like, all right, like let me see what he's saying. So then everyone's seen what he DM'd me, and
yeah,
I just thought it was hilarious.
You gotta read it for anyone who hasn't seen it, please.
So it says
and
it was
be
supposed
careful,
to be.
You might not be able to read some of this.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna censor myself. Don't you worry. It was supposed to be a switch, dumbass. You think I just let blank walk up and shoot a three? SMH, y'all fans don't think.
The dumbass was what took me out the first time I read it.
Two separate words.
Because
Dumbass.
he just, and the thing was, there was no commas, no periods, nothing. He just kept texting right after that. So that's how I knew he must have been. Like, you could read how angry he was when he put dumbass.
Yeah.
A singular thought process, it seems like, and then just send immediately. Like paid in no mind from there. Did anything happen from there? Or what's your initial reactions after you like process the actual DM?
So I'm like, the first thing I see is I couldn't stop laughing initially, and then I'm like, do I want to respond to him? And then I couldn't. Like, I don't know what like happened, but I couldn't respond to him. But I wasn't gonna say, like, I wasn't trying to like bait him, and I wasn't really trying to troll him. Like, I was just telling jokes, and I thought it was like kind of clear from my tone that I was like being sarcastic.
This is it's pretty obvious that this is the only release that we have as fans.
Exactly.
Right? Like, we can go on Twitter, we can make jokes about it, we can get this off, and it's like, this is how we can manage to watch, 10 games over a 45-game period.
Exactly.
Or 10 games.
Like the tweet that I responded to, that's like him ducking under the screen to ensure that loss, is like, thank God Trier made up for like him scoring that layup to go up by 1 by leaving Gordon open for 3. So it's like very clear that the guy I was talking to was also joking. So I thought that would have come across very clearly, but he was not particularly happy with me. So first I was like laughing at getting the DM, and then I was like a bit confused because, again, like you said, like he had 31. So I know his mentions were full of like nothing but positivity. And like somehow he...
Right. Did you feel bad at any point, like before you sent this, thinking like it is his career high of his rookie year, of this famously undrafted rookie, maybe the criticism can wait, or were you just ready to fire it off because the jokes are greater than the facts, obviously?
The jokes have always been greater than the facts.
Jokes are greater than the facts, of course.
Yeah. So when I screenshot it and posted it, I have over 1,000 followers now, but I didn't then, and I tweet a lot, and like people don't really pay attention to my tweets anyway. So like I figured I'd post a screenshot, and like I know I have like people with like some high following counts who like follow me, but like I thought like people would find it funny to get like a couple of retweets and likes, and that'd be the end of it. And like
they talked about you in practice.
That part killed me. But like,
is this just your story of your rise to fame? Like, are you like doing like a Cody Parkey right now or something, where you're just gonna go around and tell the story on all the talk shows?
Honestly, I'm kind of glad it's like kind of dying down, because like I've like long said, and like I'm sure I have tweets about it, but it's like the more followers you have, the more the idiots you have in your mentions. So like I don't like.
This is
so like whenever I have a tweet that goes like somewhat viral, it just leads to like people being morons to my mentions, and like I can't stand it. So like when I woke up the next morning, because I'm in grad school, so I wake up, I had to like go to bed because I had class the next morning. And I wake up, my friend texts me, and he's like, "You're on Deadspin." Like he like texts me because he's like going, like he's working like a normal like 9 to 5, and he like texts me and he's like, "You're on Deadspin." I'm like, "You gotta be shitting me." And then like I look at my phone, and like you guys know, like when you have like dimensions of like more than 20, it just says like 20 plus. So then like I look at my phone and I'm like, Jesus, I'm like, this really took off last night. Like it was kind of sorry.
No, I was just gonna congratulate you. You became a legend for an entire night. You became a storyline.
I mean, it was just real.
You basically you almost single-handedly re-sparked the feud between Alonzo Trier and Tim Hardaway.
Well, I was gonna say, did you see his comments at practice the next day? Tim Hardaway Jr.'s when they ran into him. Yeah,
that was the part that took me out, because they had a couple like instances in that game. Like there was one particular instance when Trier didn't pass it to him when they had like I think it was like a 3-on-1, and like Hardaway got in his face a little bit, but like someone sent me the link of like Hardaway talking about this, like a journalist asked him about this, and that's like I'm like this has gone way further than I could have anticipated. And at that point, I was actually hoping that like it wouldn't lead to like I didn't want like Trier to get in like trouble or anything for this. Like I didn't want him to get fined. Like I just thought this was funny, and I didn't think people would run with it. Like people like asking me if I was doing it for like followers and that's like no. Like I just thought like a professional basketball player DMing me like minutes after they just lose a tough game. I thought that was hilarious, and I thought other people would find it hilarious. But I wasn't like trying to get him in trouble. But I thought that part was hilarious. Like just like the thought of like Hardaway and like Trier, like the shooter, like talking about my tweet was like just killing me.
Did you respond to Alonzo?
No, I didn't. Like I wasn't able. Yeah, I wasn't able
No?
to respond to his DM. Like I don't know. Like
Did he?
no, he didn't
you?
block me because I could still see his tweets, but I just wasn't able to respond. But again, I wasn't like trying to get into this feud, but I didn't really feel like having to explain like my tanking jokes. Like I kind of thought, like the Knicks are like 10 and.
Are you a known instigator like in the past? Like is this your first offense at going at Knicks Twitter and posting the jokes online, or have you gotten into any hot water with any players on the team?
No, it's
before
never
this?
happened. Not like this. But I do.
Okay.
I've done these jokes for like ever. Because again, like it's just all you really have.
Have you guys ever pissed anyone off from the team online?
Uh,
I mean, I guess, yeah, we can go all kinds of ways with this, but I guess directly on the New York Knicks.
No, I never have.
I-
I never at players. I just leave them alone. I don't believe in it. I hate when like people tag. Like if I say something and someone tags a player, I tell them once not to do it, and if they ever do it again, they get blocked. It's just not my. I don't tag them good. I don't tag them bad. I just leave them alone.
yeah, I've never had an issue with the player. I don't. Not online. There was that incident with Ronnie Turioff from 2010.
Right, I was going to say, I was kind of more just baiting you on to get the Turioff story.
no, that was. I just real quick the expedited version. I thought for whatever reason, because him and Amari were new teammates, that it would be funny to bring up to Turioff, who was seated next to Amari, just to kind of remind him that the season before he got absolutely posterized by Amari, and don't know why I thought it was going to get a laugh from everybody. It got a laugh from like Wilson Chandler and Amari, but Turioff just like deadpanned me and still signed my jersey. He shouldn't have, and
He signed your
he
Steinmeier
did,
jersey.
and he was not happy about it, but he did it. Good man. So that's it. That's the only like incident that I have.
Xavier, like the entire Knicks team was definitely talking about something you did.
Yeah, no, that was the part that really took it over for me. Like the being mentioned in like a whole bunch of articles was pretty funny. Like again, I had like
He
people
called
on
you
Twitter.
He called you a nobody. That was funny.
Yeah, that was funny. And like I mean, in the scheme of things, like I guess he's not wrong. But again, like I wasn't being serious. Like I thought it was like very clear that I was joking. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Would you consider yourself the turning point of this season?
I mean,
Do you consider this act of fandom or whatever you may call it here? Is this the thing that will bring the Knicks more wins?
Yeah, I mean,
eventually? It hasn't panned off.
it
so
hasn't,
far.
but they've looked like a little better defensively recently. So maybe I don't know. Yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't
okay.
know.
Yeah, Trier's been looking good since then.
Yeah, he has been. But yeah, I mean, yeah, all of this was funny, but I'm glad it didn't lead to like anything serious. Like I thought, I was just about the jokes. And again, I didn't know those guys were tagged in it because, like Brian was saying, I'm not super big into like tagging athletes into stuff. Like I'll quote retweet them, but I don't usually like directly at them. Like neither good or bad, honestly. So like I didn't.
Well, you seem to have a talent for this. Do you think you could maybe like influence someone like Enes Kanter on potentially how to treat his situation?
I've been quote retweeting Kanter for ages. Like if this kind of thing happened, I thought it would have been Kanter because I've been killing Kanter basically since the summer. Like every time he tweeted during the summer, I was telling him to opt out. And then like recently with everything that's been going on, like I've said less than great things. So like
So you're just like a blank opt out guy. It doesn't matter what his content he's putting out, whatever kind of. It doesn't matter if he's posing with 18 hamburgers. You're just gonna comment.
Yeah, like I don't follow him, so like I don't seek it up. But whenever he was tweeting during the summer, if it like flashed across my timeline, I was just begging him to opt out.
Dude, I've been BSing with you on Twitter for a long time. This is the best. I can't believe out of all people, this was you. I was so happy.
Yeah, I know. It was just really funny. Once I saw, like, I can't remember who retweeted, but I saw someone who had, like, a pretty decent following retweet it, and that's when I'm like, this could get, like, really out of hand.
Yeah, I retweeted you from the Knicks Wall main account.
Yeah. And then I went to bed, and then when I woke up, I'm like, this definitely makes sense. Because when I looked at, like, the people who retweeted, I'm like, I could see how, like, it, like, really went that far. But no, it was funny. But yeah, I didn't expect this from Trier.
So, Xavier, do you have any hot predictions you want to put out for the rest of the season? Do you have any plans for watching the Knicks for the rest of the season? Any coping mechanisms you want to tell everyone listening about?
I mean, I'm going to continue to get the jokes off. I'm going to pay a little more attention to see if the Knicks are, like, tagging people in their, like, end game tweets. But yeah, I mean, I'm just going to still do the same thing I always did, which is try and cope with just this very, very bad team as best as I possibly can. And yeah, like, I love the Knicks. I'll always love the Knicks. And all of this is, like, funny. So, like, if we're not going to win, like, it has to be, like, entertainment somehow. So, So, like, I'm just going to get these jokes off. Like, you can see that, like, tonight, again, like, I watched the game. Like, you can see that there are flashes there. You can see how this will work in the future. But right now, they're just a very bad basketball team. And as long as that's the case, I'm going to cope with it as best as possible. And for me, that's just tanking jokes. Then I did it with the Jets, and I ended up with a franchise quarterback. So, you know.
Shout out Darnold.
Yeah, so these things could change very quickly. But, yeah, I'm just going to get these jokes off. And if people can interpret tone and that type of stuff, then that's on them. But I just find all of this stuff, like, very funny. But I don't do it for, like, particular attention or anything. I just got to get these jokes off.
Did anyone else try and get to you or to talk about it, or did, like, any of the beat writers reach out to you or anything?
They might have, but honestly, I kind of just stopped checking my mentions for a little bit. So, like, I didn't see anyone, and I didn't get any, like, DM requests, and I figured, like, if they really wanted to reach out to me, like, they would have, like, you know, like, DM'd me. But then, again, I didn't want it to also be, like, people think that I was, like, seeking attention or anything, you know what I mean? Like, I thought it was funny. I'm glad other people found it funny. But, like, I didn't want to be, like, going around, like, oh, like, I'll come talk to you about this. Like, I just thought it was funny, and, like, it got out of hand. But, again, it was just really funny. But, no one else has, like, contacted me about anything.
Thanks for coming on with us. Appreciate
no problem. Thanks for having me.
You keep getting those jokes off. We will bring you back on if we need some more jokes spun around here. But until then, keep getting them off, and hopefully we get a couple more storylines out of you before the end of the season.
No, that'd be great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Don't miss Jared Hamburg's recap of the Knicks Heat game that just wrapped up. That's over at theknickswall.com, and you can find it tweeted out at the Knicks Wall as well. We're going to get a little bit more into that game on our Knicks tape segment from now, but before we do that, the Knicks and the Nets played on Friday night. It was another loss for the Knicks. It's been a little bit since we've gotten the win in here, but we're starting to see a couple of trends develop, some good, some not so good. Brian, Kyle, I'll let you guys decide who wants to go first here, but what have you guys started seeing since the Nets game? Maybe a little bit that's bled into tonight, but what do you guys want to go into here?
I thought Knox has been having a couple of really tough games here. Tonight, the Nets game too, but tonight he really struggled. He was really matched up against Winslow and Richardson for parts of the night, and he just had a really difficult time. And in Brooklyn, he had 7 points, 4 rebounds, a couple of steals, but 2 of 11 shooting, 0 for 4 from deep. He's just not feeling it right now, and I think Stefan Bondy tweeted out his stats over the last 5 games as I filibustered to them.
I got him in front of me. So last 5 games, 25% from the field, 18% from 3, 7.2 points, 4.4 rebounds.
Yeah, and he really, I wouldn't say he was like off track before the Philly game. I think he cooled off a little bit, but he wasn't, ice cold like this. And then he obviously went off, for the Sixers game. And since then, it's just been not good, to put it lightly.
Kyle, so the last 10 games, 34% from the field, 27% from three. Last 15 games, 36% from the field, 30% from three.
Really?
It's not bad for a minute now.
But what was at least like his free throw rates?
His free throw, he was getting to, so last 15 games, he was getting there 3.5. Last 10, 3.1. Last 5, 1.2.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what accentuates it. Because, like, if you're hitting at least a couple of shots, and then you're at least getting to the line like 4 times, like, it supplements the night. It lessens your terrible night when you get those free points. And when you don't get to the line almost at all, when he was pretty aggressive all of December too. That was a thing I felt, and he just hasn't been that guy, I guess, especially at the last 5 games. So that's unfortunate. I'm hoping it's just a quick little slump. I don't want to read too much into it yet, especially after the December that we had, but I'm hoping he just kind of starts to come out of it. He is still pretty young. It is the NBA. It's hard to stay consistent. So are you seeing anything?
I think everything that he does has to work off his jump shot because his skill level with his handle and finishing near the rim isn't where it needs to be yet. So he has to work off of his quick catch and shoot jump shots. And when that's going in, it can kind of open up some stuff up for him because he can do a little bit more straight line drives. And right now, since he's not making the three, it makes everything really, really difficult for him.
And you said what is he, 13 of 51 over the last 5? I would bet my entire house that those 13 shots were floaters. Yes. I feel like he's definitely made the floaters in the last 5 games, and he's made nothing else.
I'm right there with you.
Because I feel like it's definitely a thing. Because I feel like in the Nets game, he had at least 1 floater. I think there was 2. Today he 1. And I just feel like all he's done, like the floater, I think he's actually gotten down. At the beginning of the year, he couldn't hit the floater. And I think I have checked 0 numbers. I have nothing to back this claim up. I just solely off of my gut, I think he has a strange increase in floater percentage over the last 2 months. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know. I hope he comes out of it. He was looking really good for a while. I was feeling good about things. He can't hit anything right now.
On the positive end of what's been happening with some of the Knicks' young players, Frank Ntilikina, who's been, I'm so bad at pronouncing his last name, Jesus.
What did you just say?
I don't know. I'm not.
You don't even consider the T. You don't even look at the T.
Forget the T. It's a
just think Neil E. Kina. That's it. Ntilikina.
Worst.
We're gonna bury Ntilikina out there with Trier.
I'm worse at Clyde at pronouncing names. That's such bad quality to have. Oh, do I actually have to talk about what I was going to talk about now?
Oh, yeah, no, you're not off the hook because
right.
I mean, jokes are greater than facts, but we got time here.
All right, well, Frank's been a lot better recently, and the last 2 games, unfortunate circumstances in each case. In the Nets game, he had 4 points, 4 rebounds in the first quarter, but got into foul trouble. This game, he had 6 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds in the first quarter, and then he got a groin injury. I think both games, Fizdale was probably planning on playing him upwards of 30 minutes, and as he should be, because Frank's team impact is starting to show up in a very, very positive way. So over the last 5 games as a team, the Knicks have a -8 net rating. When Frank's been on the court the last 5 games, they're a +12 net rating, 113 offensive rating, 101 defensive rating. That's in about 20 minutes. He's played some time with starters and some time against the bench. Last 10 games, so it's not just the smaller sample size. In the last 10 games, the Knicks have a -9 net rating. When Frank is played, they have a -3 net rating. So for the first time this season, we're starting to see him stack a good chunk of games together where even if those scoring numbers aren't there, that he's positively influencing how the team is playing. And that's a change from earlier in the year. His team impact numbers were actually quite bad for most of the season, and now it's just starting to shift.
So we also, just quick to kind of transition to into the game against the Heat as well. You know, we're talking about all this right now, but Frank Ntilikina didn't finish the game. He played a really nice first half, but he has a groin injury right now that we don't have a lot of information about, and that's really disappointing because you're right. He has been playing very well in the last couple of games, and even when he's not scoring, which we do need him to do, he's not off the hook for that. But even when he hasn't been scoring lately, he has been definitely impactful, and it's really hard to deny that at this point. But now that he's injured, it's really unfortunate because this seemed like it was a great opportunity with Moutier being out of the lineup for a couple of weeks. It really seemed like it was a chance for Frank to be able to come in and secure at least some kind of confidence amongst the team, amongst the fan base, and everybody. But we're hopefully not going to be able. We're hopefully not going to have to wait too long to see him back out there.
I think all of Frank's problems can be, and this is me trying to be as reductionist as possible to try to solve the issue. But I think obviously half of it is his confidence, and I think the other half is just not being in the right, not being at least given, instilled the confidence from his coaching staff in the position that he wants to play, which is point guard. And I think when he has the confidence in himself and they actually put him in the right spot, saying, hey, he's going to be the backup point guard, he's going to, get that time at that position, I think that's when you start to see the player that we want to see. And he's at his best when he has that confidence, because then he starts doing things all over the place and he starts balancing the stat sheet a little bit. And then
he just looks like he moves fast
at
those points. He just looks like he thinks fast.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just kind of playing, and he's just free out there versus, just trying to get up the court and stand in the corner and play a slightly off-ball role. And that's when he starts thinking too much. But, and again, we have seen him struggle with the ball too, so I'm not trying to romanticize it. He's, he has it's well documented with that. But tonight it just looked like the same thing we saw in the Brooklyn game before he had the foul trouble, is he was just, in passing lanes, breaking up passes. He just felt like he was really in the flow of the game tonight with the assist again. I think he had 4. And I think everything was in the first half for the most part, outside of 1 assist and I think 1 steal. And I think he should have another steal. They didn't give him credit for, because I think Knox and Vonleh turned the ball over, or forced the turnover. But either way, he had a really nice first quarter, and the offense was humming, and they were getting up and down the floor. And that's, to me, when he's at his best. And again, I don't want to oversimplify it too much, because you can't do that with any sport, especially with prospects like this. But that's what I feel.
So look at if you give me 2 seconds, his last 2 games he's played, I'm going to read off a bunch of numbers right here, because there's something else to show with what he's been doing in the last 5 games. But he's played 24 minutes in the last 2 games. He has 10 points, 3 steals, a block, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, and is 5 for 11 from the field. That's really fucking good.
It is. This is what I was telling you in the Slack chat. After this is minutes before they said he wasn't coming back for the rest of the game. All I said to you was, after I've been slamming him for weeks on here, and all I said was, if he does nothing else with his box score stats and only gets 2 more buckets, so if he would have just finished with 10 points, 2 or 3 rebounds, 4 assists and a steal, I would have been thrilled. That's how low the bar is for him to be successful with the defense. That's the most frustrating thing, is it's right there. It's that extra layup and a couple of free throws that make all the difference, at least in terms of seeing that first stride. We obviously want more than 10 points and a couple assists, but that first stride from, a 6 point per game, 2 assist point guard who can't shoot worth, anything, to then grow to be, okay, now he's in double digits. He's starting to find guys a little bit better, get into a rhythm, shoot a little bit better. That's all that I want to see. It really isn't asking for a lot. And I think if I'm going to assume he's going to be pretty, healthy pretty quickly. But, if they really are going to give him the backup point guard thing like this, I would expect him to have games like this. That's just my expectation. I was a second-year player. He should start taking strides. Like, this is the guy that I want to see consistently.
So outside of the last 2 games, the shooting still hasn't been good recently. And in those 5 games, it's a good chunk of minutes he's playing, 20.8 minutes a game, as I said, the 12 net rating. So how is that happening despite him having a 31.4 true shooting percentage during those games? His assist percentage is 28.2. That's very high. His assist to turnover, 3.14. Wow. And his TO, so his turnover rate is only 10.9. And that's with him playing point guard that entire time. And he's also grabbing 10%, 10.6. His defensive rebound percentage is 10.6. So he's pretty much doing something positive in every area of the game. Besides,
how far back are you
that's the
going
last
on that?
5 games at 20 minutes per game.
Okay.
Like, that's legitimately good for in
yeah, that's a decent sample too. I mean, like, you know, for just kind of like showing how he's improved the last couple of games. And it's something we were talking about recently, that, you know, he looks like he's moving the ball a little bit more out there. And you did see he had that 6 assists, no points game out there, and we were definitely arguing that he made an impact out there. He's seeing ways that he can make an impact out there. And I know that the scoring hasn't come along yet, and I know that still has to come along. Again, like, he's not excused for that. But, you know, while we're developing him, anywhere that he is able to improve how he can impact the game out there is, you know, we just have to let him work into that and let him pull it off, because he hasn't done anything up to this point. So, you know, those percentages are obviously going to fall a little bit more, but, you know, up until this point when he's gotten hurt, it's been a good couple of games for him. And he scored okay in this game, too. Like, if he could have had a couple more minutes out there before he got hurt, if he could have played through the second half, like, we could have been talking about a pretty good Frank game tonight. All right, well, we have a couple other points to talk about on the Heat game. But before we do, we should probably just address what happened in that game. The Knicks ended up falling to the Heat 106-97. The Knicks had the lead again for a little while at halftime, and another slow third quarter, kind of they blew it there. Lots to talk about with individual players. Obviously, we mentioned before that Kanter didn't get into the game. Ntilikina got hurt after only 15 minutes, but I have one player in particular that I wanted to talk about tonight. Do you guys want to talk about anybody before I get into Daymean Dotson, or are we good to go here?
Roll with Dotson.
All right. So Dotson, I thought, had a very up-and-down game tonight. Played 26 minutes. That was his most in a little bit. He went 5 for 9 from the field. He scored 14 points. 2 of 5 from the free throw line. 2 of 5 from the three-point line. And it was at least good to see Dotson get good minutes in scoring tonight. I wanted to read you guys some stats that I saw from Dotson, because he's been really intriguing me, I guess, since the calendar year turned over. It just seemed like his game he really just kind of sunk into the background after seeming like he was going to make an impact, you know, earlier this year and trying to get into the rotation and everything. So I kind of took a look at some of his scoring numbers. Earlier this year, from October 17th to December 12th, he was scoring 11.1 points a game, 46.4 field goal percentage, 37.3 from 3. His offensive rating was 104, 106.4 defensive rating, and he played 26.4 minutes a game. I should also mention here, a little interesting to look at, he took his 2 points taken, or field goals from 2-point range, were 57%, and he scored 26% of his points off of mid-rangers, and that's important. After that, from December 19th to January 26th, so coming into this last game, he was down from 11 points to 6.5 points. His field goal percentage was down from that 46 to 36%. His three-point percentage was actually up a little bit at 38%. His offensive rating fell a lot. Obviously, the whole team's did. It was at 99. Then it was 111 defensive rating. Still played almost the same amount of minutes a game. He was 3 minutes less. But here's where it's interesting. So his field goal attempts from 2-point range were previously at a 57% clip. Now it's down to 47%, and the amount of points he was scoring off of his mid-range two-pointers is down from, 26% down to 12%. So, like, the big takeaway here is that Dotson's scoring really fell for the last couple of weeks, and it seems to be the thing that's disappeared from his game are his, like, mid-range twos. But he hasn't supplemented that scoring from anywhere else. So, I mean, I guess when it comes down to it, I'm curious where do you guys kind of place Dotson after he had kind of an okay game today, moving forward in the rotation. He's obviously got some questionable shot selection, and when he takes those shots out, he's not really hitting too many other points. So, I guess what is the ideal role for Dotson to try to fit into moving forward?
I think coming off the bench, but I just think he's got to play like 15, 20 minutes a night.
I mean, he's around a solid amount. He's averaging in the games that he gets into. He's averaging around 24 minutes a game. It's his shots, like his shot selection. I think could be the biggest weakness of his sometimes. I think that's what can get him into the most trouble.
I was gonna say the only time I really see him, the biggest deficiency I see with his shot selection is he's a really pure jump shooter. Like when he shoots, he likes to get his feet set, and he's a good catch and shoot guy too. But he seems to get really excited when screens are set for him because, like, when he's the ball handler, and he doesn't like to drive and attack when the screen is set. He likes to just come around it and, with that couple of feet of space, take the shot. And I've seen him kind of like rush those. Like he tries to sprint around the screen like as quick as he can to set his feet and shoot. And sometimes he's been off balance or fading in in any direction. So that's the biggest problem that I saw, which, like, it's more so the timing than the actual selection of it. And yeah, like, he takes a couple, like, little pull-up threes, like the Tim Hardaway Jr. stuff sometimes. But to me, that's what I noticed over the last 3 or 4 games. It seems like when he gets in, he's just kind of trying to rush what the plan is. Like, he's going to get that look off clean, and it just seems like he's trying to force the issue a little bit.
I have 2 things. I think big picture, one thing that's impacting him on this team is he's a guy who has to play off others, and the Knicks just don't have those shot initiators right now that can put him in the right position and get him those clean looks. Secondly, specifically on the Heat game, I thought this was the best game he's played in a very long time. I thought he was awesome. His defense was solid, did a nice job on Wade, and then offensively, he hit a couple threes. If he would have made his free throws, he was 2 for 5 from the free throw line. He could have had even more points. And then once Frank got hurt in the second half, they played pretty poorly when Burke was in. But when Trier and Dotson were basically the two guys sharing point guard responsibilities, I thought he did a really solid job settling him down. And he wasn't necessarily making any fancy plays, but he was making some simple reads, and the offense had a better flow to it than when Burke was controlling things. I was very happy with his performance tonight.
Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about in the Heat game tonight?
No, that I think we hit on Timmy playing well again. He's finding his game again. That's good. We kind of talked about that last time. So I
really hope, like, we find out it was the injury. I really hope that was the thing.
6 foul shots again tonight. It seems like he's starting to get more aggressive going to the basket again, right?
It looked like it. Well, I mean, in the Brooklyn game, he didn't do a ton, and when he did, he was attacking. So, I mean, that's kind of what I was taught growing up with basketball. Like, if you can't get your jumper to go, like if you're off, which he was certainly off, go to the rack, try to get fouled, try to get something going, see the ball go in on a layup, and that's what I thought he's been trying to do a little bit more lately, which is nice.
Yeah, the last 4 games, 6 free throws, 5 free throws, 9 free throws, 6 free throws. Outside of the net game where he just couldn't hit a shot, 22, 21, 23 on 14, 16, and 16 shots. So that's the type of production you need out of him.
His problem is he can't start games shooting threes and then try to work the ball in. Like, he needs to start games in attack mode. Like, try to work the ball in, get the ball to the rim, and then start shooting threes, and things are going to start opening up for him. And then his teammates, we saw with the assist tonight too, I think he had 4 or 5. So we've seen, like, games the last couple of weeks where he just comes in and starts hoisting up threes, And I think those are the games that he struggles in. Again, I have nothing to back this off. I don't know how you'd ever measure the stats for that kind of a thing, but it seems like when he attacks early and he knows he's going to get to the free throw line and he knows he's going to get to the rim, that he has his better games.
Are you tapping on your
No.
microphone?
I heard that too.
Sounds like something's happening.
I told you there's ghosts. A weird thing happened last week. Anthony doesn't believe me. He thinks we were doing a recording, and I promise you, Anthony wasn't even talking. It was a weird gap moment. And in my headphones, I clearly heard like a muffled like, "Hey, Kyle." And then I looked at Anthony because we had the video up, and I said, "Did you just say something?" And he said, "No." And then I freaked out because it happened. It happened. So there's weird things. There's possibly ghosts here. So just so you know, just getting it all out there.
Well, now that Kyle's house is haunted, I could tell all of our listeners out there one place that's not haunted. It's the Knickswall.com. And it's not even just the Knickswall.com. It's the Knickswall on Twitter. It's the Knickswall on YouTube. It's the Knickswall on Twitch. It's the Knickswall on... Are we anywhere? Facebook. Instagram. That's just Knickswall on Instagram. But, folks, it's all Knicks content there. It's all the good stuff. It's all the greatest content providers, writers, designers, folks of all kinds creating content for you, video makers. That's not what they're called, but you know what I'm saying. And the best thing of all, it's not haunted. Unlike Kyle's crickety, rickety, dog-filled house.
Haven't even heard the dogs tonight.
Haven't even heard the dogs tonight. You know why? We're just hearing ghosts. Tapping on the microphone. Saying hi to Kyle. Maybe it's just the FBI, man.
You know, it most likely is. A law-abiding citizen here.
Yep. Oh, Kyle. Definitely not embezzling in the
Definitely not embezzling.
Like
Definitely not.
No.
I would never do
the
white
Knicks
collar
definitely
crime. Gonna get my money's worth. I'm going.
never. The Knicks definitely are playing a couple of games in the next few days. Before we talk to you again, the Knicks will be playing at the Charlotte Hornets. Before they come back home, they'll be playing at the Dallas Mavericks on Wednesday the 30th. That's at Madison Square Garden. They'll be playing against the Dallas Mavericks on Wednesday the 30th. Game against Boston on Friday the 1st. They'll be playing Memphis next weekend, too. Let's start with Monday's road trip down to Charlotte. Kemba Walker, no nemesis of the Knicks, New York native, loves to play against the team. If we don't have Frank Ntilikina, which is looking like we may not, it seems like it's going to be just Alonzo Trier and Trey Burke up against him. But thankfully, Dotson's showing to have some good defensive ability lately, like we were just talking about. So I trust him against Walker. Is there anything else you guys are looking for in that game? Any other matchups that you think could prove to be pretty effective for the Knicks?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kevin Knox has to get back on track. I know that Michael Kidd-Gilchrist is there, and the only thing that he is good at and has ever been good at is defense. So when he's matched up against Knox, I think that'll be interesting. But, there's also older guys like Batum and the nature like that. So I think he's going to be, I'm just hoping for a comeback. I don't know if he's going to have a good game, but this has got to end. I keep thinking about the 13 for 51. It's bothering me.
I got distracted while you were saying that. I was looking at the schedule and just all of the red on there.
It's a bloodbath.
I have a really inappropriate joke in my head, but I'm not going to say it.
Save it for Twitter, obviously. That you have no filter on there.
I wouldn't even tweet this one out.
Can you text it in our Slack chat? Because I can't not know now.
Well, I'm doing it right now.
Okay. All right. If we got no rational takes for the next couple of games, can we get some hot takes at least? Brian, do you have any hot takes for the game against the Hornets?
My hot take is I just want to watch the Knicks win a fucking game. I don't.
Is it a hot take to say that the Knicks?
No, I just want to watch them win. Like, I'm frustrated. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I just want I want to watch them win a game.
Okay.
Me too, man. It's been a while.
I mean, yeah, I'm there.
Well, that's
I'm
why
with
at the
you.
beginning of the pod I brought up I played with KP on 2K and it was a lot of fun thing. Like I miss knowing like we have a guy who can win us games. Like I wish knowing as I sit down to watch this game tonight, the Knicks have an equal chance of winning the game or close. Like I miss knowing we're going to be in the game and should win the game. Like those aren't feelings that we've had since KP went down. And the light's at the end of the tunnel. He's healthy. We know that right now. Not healthy enough to return, but rehabbing back. Like we're almost there. It's tough. It's a really long season, and when there's this much bad basketball, despite the kids showing some promise, like it is tough and it wears on you. So, did we mention the Carmelo thing just at all? He was at the Garden tonight, so he came to watch Dwayne Wade play. Possibly his last game at the Garden. I think the Heat have one more trip if Wade plays. We don't know, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's just always such a treat to see Melo. I mean, like we were kind of talking about it earlier, but I will always cape for Carmelo Anthony. I frankly do not care at this point.
Kyle, did you know anyone who was at the game, or Anthony? Did either of you know anyone who was at the game tonight?
No.
Was it Heat fans cheering for Wade or Knicks fans cheering for Wade?
I have no.
The way the broadcast made it sound was because I didn't know anyone there. I think it was mostly Heat fans and then some Knicks fans just paying respects.
Oh fuck that guy! No.
I don't know. It wasn't very clear. I think there was one section that I saw on Twitter from someone who was at the game that was cheering, but I don't know. I'm not really sure what happened.
You cannot show respect to the person who threw Mike Bibby's shoe.
This is true, and people forget about that. I will say, at least Melo got a very nice ovation. I was a little bit worried, but they gave him a really nice hand, and he said some, he was very happy and receptive of it, and then he had a sit-down interview with Rebecca Harlow of MSG Networks, and he said a lot of nice things. He said, "This is home. I'm home here. My family's from here. Like this is where he always wanted to be, basically." So it's nice as things are kind of coming to an end. No matter where he signs in the next week or two, his career is kind of coming down to an end. So it's kind of nice that the fans and him are on the same page, and there's not some sort of drawn out BS between them. So I enjoyed seeing that today.
He was not happy to be there, though. Like you could tell, like not so much as far as like what the Knicks could control, but like, I mean, he said like he's not going to NBA games right now or anything like that. He said, obviously this is something special for me to go out to an NBA game right now. I got to come see Dwayne, but he seems to be very. He seems to have a certain grudge against the NBA for what's gone on with them this season or so. But
I mean, he's trying.
Yeah,
terrible.
I mean, hopefully see him.
He should try not being bad at basketball if he wants to play in the way he wants to.
Listen. He is in year 16. I mean, this is what happens. Everybody should know this. I think he knows this.
I don't know that he does. I agree with you that it's not a big deal and it's just where we are at this time, but he really stinks.
I just wonder how much of it is like, and I don't think he gets enough credit for the Rockets situation. Not that he was playing particularly well, but they basically brought him in to play like a 6th and 7th man, and almost immediately guys were injured and he had to play big minutes and then start games. So like he finally agreed to do the bench thing that everybody complained he never agreed to do. And then immediately his role got expanded and then he was starting games again. And then like a week later he was cut. Like unofficially, but he was cut,
I honestly didn't really understand the whole why Melo and the Rockets didn't really work out, but I also don't think I watched any games of it.
It was definitely a strange. You could see why it wasn't working, but I just didn't guys were injured to start it all seemed very strange to me. I was like, I thought they would have given it more time, but I stand by. I don't know where he's going to go now, because I thought if he was going to go anywhere, it was going to be with Chris Paul. He was going to play off the bench, off the ball, and it was going to work out. And they nixed that immediately. So I don't know. Maybe he goes to LA with LeBron. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's going to sign with the Lakers.
I'd like to see that.
This is kind of just it's going to happen though, right?
I'd bet on it at this point. I don't know where else he'd go. He's obviously not coming back to the Knicks. I think it's kind of the Lakers are bust at this point.
Well,
can I leave?
I'm glad that
Can I leave our follower listeners to a cryptic end here to a tweet we just got at the Knicks wall?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds like a good way to wrap up here.
So everybody's on their Kanter kick here. So from Friday's game, I tweeted the video of the "We Want Kanter" chant breaking out at Barclays with Kanter's reaction, and I just got this very cryptic quote tweet, which said, from somebody who's Turkish in Turkey, and the tweet says, "We want Kanter to ... come to Turkey ...
Oh,
That's not cool, and I hate the guy.
Like what?
That's fucked up.
Now, I don't know if that's just something getting lost in translation to maybe someone whose English is their second language, but I don't read that as any positive way.
Well, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and leave that at that. So, it seems like we have some friends piping in our mentions.
I said cryptic.
Stay cryptic, I guess. If anyone else wants to come get cryptic in
Please
our
don't.
mentions,
Please, happier things. Happier things.
At Kyle Maggio.
Please don't. Just leave me alone.
Forward all complaints to Kyle Maggio.
That's what always happens anyway. That's always happening.
Okay. Brian, Kyle, it's a pleasure as always. We'll all talk to you guys next week.
All right.
We're not next week. I'm sorry. Wednesday. It's Sunday.
Be careful to keep track of where your center of mass is. Underneath you.